guys, in the last video I have shown you how to create your first C program. I also explained the code line by line to you. Now in this video I am going to further explain you all how to use inputs and outputs using printf function. In last video I have shown you this printf. We can use it to the terminal. So whenever we run this code, we will see hello world, which is inside the printf brackets, is printed, and this /n just simply changes the line. The line is hence changed to the next line. So for example, I want to print hello world 3 times, 1, 2 and 3. I'll just build and run my program and it would be printed 3 times. But if in case you want to print this hello world without the line change and without the line break again and again, you can just simply remove this /n, and so I will just remove the /n over here. So now again I am going to run my program, and as you can see on the screen, the hello world is printed 3 times in one line. So basically this /n just changes the line from one to another. Now for example, you want to print some number. How can you do this? First idea which may come into your mind is just write a number. For example, printf 32. Let's try and compile this program. First, if it says some warning, and then if I try to run my program, it won't run. It is showing an error here because this isn't how you print a number. You need to use a special folder. So for example, I want to print 32 here. I need to give a placeholder. So in your printf bracket, just give 2 double quotes and a comma, and then give a percentage sign. As I have used a percentage sign here, I am going to explain it to you later on what this %d exactly is. So now let's just try to build and run our program, and it prints 32. Now this %d here is called a placeholder. What is this called as? It is known as a placeholder, and it literally means that d is going to hold the integer. D here stands for an integer, so if you write d, it will hold an integer value. If you want to hold a decimal value, there is a special character called f. F stands here for float, and then you can print decimal value, for example 32.2. So when I build and run the program, it can print 32.20. Now for example, you just write %d and you want to print 32.2. Let's see what happens. See, like this. It doesn't print this number because this is decimal value, and we are providing integer holder to decimal value, which is not valid. So you always have to remember and need to keep it in mind what kind of value you want to print. Now with this placeholder, you can add your text also. So for example, I want text with this placeholder, that number is equal to, and then write your placeholder that. This way your placeholder will be replaced by 32 here. So let's just imagine it like this. It will print the number is whatever here will be replaced by number or value you write after this comma, okay? And when I run the program, it will print the number is equal to 32, right? Now, in order to print the multiple decimal, what you need to do is you just need to give multiple placeholder, like the space. For example, I want some value with space or separated by a space. You just need to copy and paste it 3 times, and then after a comma, just provide other values you want to print. Because as we have written %d 3 times, keep it in mind here that there is space. So it will be printed as 32 space 58 space 5. Let's try and run the program. So as it says 32, 58 and 5, right? Now there are different kind of data you can print. For example, I've shown you how to print decimal. It will print decimal value, right? I will just copy this and paste, but I want to copy this whole string and paste it here. Right click, copy option, and then again I'm going to click right and paste, correct? So I'm just going to copy this whole lot again and paste it too. For example, I want to print decimal value, so it will be replaced by this f, which stands for float. Now, in order to print big or large decimal value, you use double, and what double stands for is LF, large float value, and for large integer value you can use LD, that is large integer. So further I'm just going to write a comment over here. What a comment means is double slash. Comment means, which I'll explain you later. Basically, a comment means that whatever you write after the slash, it will not be executed by your C program. So over here there's integer and there's large integer, and once again there is a float value, and float stands for F, and this will be large float, which is denoted as LF. Now, for example, you want to print a single character. For printing single character, you generally use %C. So I'll just write it over here. Char for character and single character you always enclose in single quotes. For example, I want to print C, so then just %C and then your character or A or whatever you want to choose in the character space. Now further, for example, I want to print a string. A string means a sentence kind of a thing. So you can use %S and then you can just print hello world here. You just have to remember that you enter it into double quotes, okay? And it's inside the double quote, and this is called as a string. I'll show you in the next video how these comments work. For now, you just need to understand that this line after the double slash will not be executed and is known as a comment. Now further, if you want to print some hexadecimal value, you can print it with X. And for example, you want to print hexadecimal value as for 16. It will be printed as hex value, so I will just write hex. Now I will try to run the program, but be aware in mind that they will be printed in same line because we haven't given a line break yet. So I'm just going to provide a line break after every line so that every single line is printed individually. So this is decimal and this was large decimal, so you can just print a large number. You can search for large decimal value and it has some specific decimal value that it can print. And then here is float value and then large float value, for example this one. And character is okay, string is okay, hexadecimal is also okay. Now I'm just going to build and run my program and see if it works. First, it prints hello world as you can see, which is a simple string. Then here it prints 32, which is a decimal. Then it prints big integer value. Then over here is float value, %F. Then it prints the large float value, which is this. Then it prints character A with %C sign. Then it prints the string, which is hello world with %S. And then it prints hexadecimal value of 16. As you can see here, the hexadecimal value of 16 is 10, alright? So in this way you can print values using printf function. So remember these placeholders: D for integer, LD for large integer, F for float, LF for large float, C for character, S stands for string, and X for hexadecimal values. Now further, to take input from the user, for example, you want user should give some input and then you want to print the same information or this input, you can use certain function. What you can do is, for example, you want that user should enter some value and that value will be printed on screen. How can you do that? It can be done with special function called scanf. We generally use this function to take input from the user. For example, I want to take input from my user as a string, so I'll just write %S and then comma, and then I can just give any value here and it will be taken by scanf. And if you want to print it, you can print this value, but this we will see later when we see how variables in C works and how these data types work. So this we will see later on, but just remember, scanf function we use to input values. Now there is another special function called as puts, which as you can see on the screen goes like puts. It also prints values to the screen. For example, you want to print some value like this is my C program. You can print it like this also by using puts function, and then you can run the program. Right now I'm just going to try and run my program, and as you can see it runs just fine. I'm going to close this and build and run it again, and it prints this is my C program. So in this way you can input and output different kinds of data using C on the terminal.